been through it all.
What's good, you guys? Today on the platform, we have Rick Moschel, who's a life coach that you guys have heard here on For the Underdogs before. And we also had Jason Demers, superstar, played 13 years in the NHL, and he's on to some amazing things. Can't wait for you guys to check it out.
I mean, I actually, when you're done, is there a way I can do a 10, 12-minute kind of film of you? Just for that, because I know he told you about what we're doing.
Yeah.
But we kind of have, like, we're starting to kind of gather content from guys that played the game.
Yeah.
About just little, like, overcoming adversity. I'll show you the questions after. It's really quick, but it's just like, it's like things you learned along the way in your career, what you'd tell yourself if you were 13 again, what you'd tell a kid before a big game right now if they're feeling anxiety, stress, stuff like that.
Yeah. I would love to.
Yeah. And we'll talk more about it as we go and even after, because I know you speak super highly of you, and I've kind of followed your stuff. So I'm trying to put together like a group of, like, 5 to 10 athletes that that like we kind of go and change youth sports a little bit.
Yeah, I love it.
And help them out. All different sports too. I just talked to a guy that played for the Dodgers that's super interested too. And just kind of getting together the guys and girls that played that really kind of vibe with this and try to make a little change in the sports.
Nah, it's much needed, man, especially just in how the landscape of sports is changing with NIL and just all the money that's getting thrown at it. Like, there's more and more anxieties and insecurities with athletes just based off of, oh, this guy or girl is getting paid more than me,
Yeah. It's, we're targeting like 12 to 18.
Yeah.
So we're going to kind of have phases of it. But, like, I mean, now with, recruiters and agencies are coming out of the woodwork at, like, for 12-year-olds. They're trying to sign kids at 12. So now parents go, well, if I spend all this money, my kid will make it pro.
Yeah.
Not knowing that they're putting all this stress on them. And if the kid doesn't end up making it, there's a rift between the parent and the child. And then you're pardon my French, but you're kind of fucked mentally.
Yeah.
And I mean, you tell me if I'm wrong in, like, football, especially in youth sports, like, they have a coach for physical, nutrition, weightlifting, sprinting, but nothing for mental.
Yeah.
And if it is mental, it's astronomical prices.
And I'll say this, like, in terms of the mental, I think a lot of athletes are scared to go to the mental coach in fear of it being used against them.
Yep.
Especially I know in football.
Oh, like at the pro level? Yeah, I would never want you think that guy's not part of your team. Yeah,
exactly. So, like, I've experienced that where I felt like, okay, I can go talk to this person, and then a couple of weeks later, you kind of start getting the feel of, like, hey, am I getting moved down the depth chart a little bit? Like
you express some fears that you had.
Yeah, you express the insecurities, and that's not acceptable, or it's not deemed as what is normal within the league. So that age gap, though, that 12 to 18 is super important.
It's where, and it's not even about. It's not even about, and I don't know if we're just wasting all the good stuff.
No, we're just rolling right now.
I love that stuff. Yeah, I love it. I don't even know if when you really think about it, and at the end of the day, for me, I'm not trying, when I'm talking to these 12 to 18-year-olds, I'm not trying to tell you, your mom or dad, like, hey, you're going to make it pro, because that is 1% of the 1%. So odds are you're not going to make it. There's nothing wrong with that. But wouldn't you want your kid, and if, and kids at that age, they have one mindset when they really want to make it is they want to make it. But for parents, wouldn't you want your kid to be the best version of themselves mentally, strong mentally? Because whether you make it or you don't make it, you got, I heard, I just interviewed an athlete for this project we have going on, and he said something really cool. He's like, even if you played 14, 15 years professional, that is a grain of sand in the hourglass of your life.
It really is.
It is so small.
Yeah.
And it's so and it's so finite. Like, you're doesn't matter how good you are, you're eventually not going to play sports anymore at the competitive pro level. Like, no matter how good you are, it's going to end. And then you got the rest of your life. So you got to figure out and be strong enough mentally and have those life skills, those life lessons that we're hoping to teach kids and hopefully parents put the onus on themselves a little bit more, because
it's big in the parent space too. Because you don't want your kid to get their validation through sport.
That's it.
Right. Like I experienced that. Like I got and I'm not saying that it was my parents that put that on me, but it just turned into that as I got higher and higher in competition. If I'm doing well, I feel good. And that was my validation. So when the game ended, and Rick knows this because we spoke about it, when the game ended, I didn't feel validated in a sense because I didn't have sport, So
that was something, I mean, me and Rick have talked too, and that was similar to myself. You're like, am I a human being or am I an athlete?
Yeah.
Or is there a way to be both? Is there a way to be one more than the other? And it's like you almost get lost in it a little bit.
Yeah. What was that experience like for you? Because I know there's obviously a reason we're here, and it's this man. And we had the same conversation. Like I said, me transitioning out the league, but what did that look like from a standpoint of your transition? You're obviously passionate about it now, so I'm sure there's something that, holds some weight as far as what you went through.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was performance anxiety, and I had a great upbringing, great parents, so and I was always taught work hard, and just the way to show up every day is putting on your work boots, and you got to be the hardest worker. And I always had that. But I didn't realize I had all these anxieties of, to your point, what you said would kind of resonate. It was like, once I made it, I was like, okay, now what? And then you realize that, making it's hard, staying there is even harder.
Yeah.
And that becomes a constant battle and a daily thing, especially if you're not, I wasn't a highly touted prospect. And I always kind of saw and said to guys in the league, there's two leagues. There's always the haves and the have-nots. And if you're in that have-not group, you got to work that much harder to stay at a level because, they just look for one thing to replace you because it's easy and it's cheaper to do so. So, I kind of fought with that because I was always, when I was on and I was kind of in the zone, I stacked myself up against a lot of players in the NHL, and I was able to compete at a high level. But I'd always have that in the back of my mind, this fear of like, well, it's going to get ripped away from me. So I can't lose. I can't screw up. I can't make a bad play. I can't make one mistake. Like I always quantified my games as like, did I play a perfect game? And if I played a perfect game, which is impossible, then I feel comfortable. So I never felt comfortable for 13 years because it's quite impossible to play perfect. So I'd finish a game and be analyzing and being like, I missed this pass. I missed this. They probably saw it. So it became this weird negative loop that ended up getting worse and worse to the point where I was almost thinking of all the injuries that could happen to me before a game because in my head I would get injured and almost take an exhale and be like, okay, now I don't have to worry about playing good. I can just get healthy, get set. I don't have to, I won't be drinking alcohol. I won't be taking drugs or pain pills to get through games. And I'm just going to be good. And then I'd come back, be fine, restart, and it'd just be like it'd be restarting again. And then, obviously, as an athlete, getting multiple surgeries is not good for you. So it ended up manifesting into these big injuries. I got 3-4 bad injuries in a row. And my last one was before the season even started. I had no contract. I was like supremely worried that I wasn't going to be able to make it into the NHL that year. And I was going to have to go for a tryout. And I kind of always said the ego side of me was like, I don't need to be a tryout. I've been in the league for 13 years. And so the whole summer got in crazy good shape. 2 weeks before camp, just blow my back out. Just because the back of my mind, I'm training through stress. I'm training through anxiety. That's not a good place to be. I wasn't flowing. I wasn't happy to be there and happy to be given the opportunity and grateful to have the opportunity to be competing for a job. So blew my back out. And then through that process, was really a long 2-year period before I and at that point I had sought out for myself. I was like, this isn't sustainable. Like I'm going to give myself a stroke or have a heart attack by the time I'm, 40 years old. So I'm like, I need to figure out a way to ground myself, to fight these anxieties, to understand what it is. So I started going down a path of breath work and journaling on my own and started doing a lot of meditation. And ended up having this 2-year comeback through my back surgery, ended up making it back to the NHL for one more game.
Hell yeah. And what did that do for you to make it back?
It was it's such a weird thing now that I like look back at it, and you know, me and Rick have talked about it. It's like the 2 years of like gripping the steering wheel and being like, you know, and once I got that game, and you know, my whole family was there, and it was the coolest moment, was seeing my family and realizing that like at the end of the day, what you take out of the game is your family and the people that rode with you the whole way.
Yeah.
And that's what you take out of it. No, that's the positive moments. It's not the career, it's not the accolade. Those are all great.
Yeah.
But the thing that's going to last and stand the test of time is your family, your friends, the people that have supported you. So
and it's so hard to recognize that early on.
So hard. You're stuck in it, man.
Yeah. When you get older, it's like, oh, these opportunities are slim. And so let me appreciate the things that, like you said, the family and the people around that are enjoying that process. But when I was younger in the league, I didn't have that vision as well. So that hit me my last year in the league as well.
And I feel like it's important for people to understand that. And listen, this is not just, a lot of guys do realize that. And there's a lot of guys that, you know, just for me and my experience, the anxiety outweighed my ability to look outwards other than like what's right in front of me. And to really realize that like, oh, I'm here, I'm on this stage, and you know, I'm grateful I'm in this small percentage of people that have played professional hockey, and I'm doing something, I'm representing my family. And I did have moments where I felt that, but it wasn't consistent enough, and it ended up, the anxiety always was that push-pull and outweighed it. So for me to kind of, that I always kind of I explained that to Rick, and it was like the 2-year process was almost like this cathartic experience of like going through the ups and downs of anxiety, but understanding that like, you know, everything happens for you, not to you, and understanding that all that was for me to finally figure out what was important. And I always tell the story, you know, my last NHL hockey game, you know, and I went and played a couple games in the minors, and when I finished the game, you know, they sent me down that same night. So I like left the rink, and I get to watch the bus leaving of the NHL hockey team. And I'm sitting there basically on the side of the road, and I'm like, well, this is hilarious. So a friend of mine that was working for that team drove me to the hotel because I was flying out the next day. And as I'm driving to the hotel, I see my whole family, my niece, my brother, my wife, her family, all wearing my jersey, walking to the hotel. And it was like, in that moment was like, like that's like the funny moment that you look at it and you're like, oh shit, like this is what it's all about. It's not about, you know, all the other little things that we get hung up on. Cause at the end of the day, when you're, you know, on your deathbed, that's going to be the things you remember is that. So, and again, so it just was like a huge sense of gratitude all at once,
and perspective change,
and that's it. And then I was like, you know, sitting after having a drink with my mom and my family, and I was like, my mom was looking at me, and I'm like, I'm good. Like I think that's it for me. And I think not long after that, I ran into Rick, probably 2 months later, and when I was getting treatment done, and a mutual friend of ours, I was kind of really looking at breath work and journaling. And I was like, he's like, there's a guy who works with MMA fighters. He works with a lot of other people and in the sports realm. And he said, I can introduce you guys. So we hit it off, and literally
same. Same person too. Oh, same person.
Yeah. Austin.
Shout out Austin.
Austin.
And you know, my first like big breath work session, was with my wife, and it was Rick and Carrie, Rick's wife, that were leading it. And we were on Zoom. We were doing it on Zoom, wasn't in person. Yeah. And me and my wife were, you know, laying next to each other doing it. And like, you know, I tell the story, it is like, you know, manly hockey player, this and that. You know, I lost, you know, more teeth than I can think of, and had concussions, and like, you know, tough fought. And I'm like weeping like a baby, and I'm like crying, because I'm like, you know, realizing now that it's like all this emotion and stagnant energy moving, but I just couldn't understand that, like, why I hadn't sought that out when I played.
Man.
And then I kind of like sat up and was like, holy crap, like I have to find a way to bring this to kids.
Yeah.
And it ended up being like bringing this to youth athletes, because I kind of saw myself as a 15-year-old, you know, because the more I've done breath work now and journaling and these kind of like little daily practices, and me and Rick talk, it's like you trace it back to like when you were a kid, the anxiety.
100%.
Like I was like, I remember 15 going out for a hockey game and like being scared out of my mind, not understanding what it was. And, you know, yes, the nerves and the energy was because I loved the game as well, but like
there was something deeper than
there's something deeper. You know, I had night terrors growing up until I was about, you know, 27, 28.
Yeah.
And still had a couple until I really got into journaling and breathwork. I don't have night terrors anymore, but I would have, you know, bad dreams. But basically when I was a teenager, I'd literally wake up on the other side of the house, you know, screaming and waking up like the room was caving in on me. And as a kid, you don't know what that is. You just think you're having, oh yeah, I had sugar before bed, or I watched a scary movie. I was like, no, like I had anxiety that I just didn't know what it was. And my parents didn't know either. Bless their heart. They're like, is everything good? And I'm like, yeah, I'm great.
Bad dream or something like.
But realizing, and Rick like I was building anxiety all day. And then that was the pressure valve releasing, was subconsciously my body being like, this isn't sustainable. So it was literally
some
releasing it at night. So I'd wake up in the morning and be like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean you're good? You were fighting the wall. Like, and it happened throughout my professional career too. And then, so it was like literally something I didn't know about. And I'm sure there's kids and parents and that have those things. And, you know, it's getting to the root cause of it, which is just learning about gratitude. And then also, you know, teaching your kid that, you know, breathing is free and there's ways to breathe, and we all breathe the wrong way. Majority of us breathe the wrong way 90% of the time in a day. And just getting used to doing these practices that are going to benefit you mentally, because it doesn't matter how strong you are, and you've been there, you played. Like, how many guys did you play with that you were like, holy shit, how is this guy not the best player in the league? And then as soon as the game would start,
couldn't put it together.
You could see the insecurity, the anxiety, because they just couldn't, because when the pressure was on and pressure comes from within, they would just, you'd crumble. And it's like, that is not something that's something you have to work at. And it
is for sure.
Yeah. So
I want to get both of you guys' opinions on this. I'll start with you, Rick. He talked about, you played 13 years, right?
Yes, sir.
13 years in the NHL. I played 7 in the NFL. I would like to think there's a correlation between how hockey players are, NFL players are wired just mentally. He said his was fear-based. Like there was a lot of, I performed based off, I don't want this to happen. I did the same thing. What's the correlation between guys that are able to be successful but base it off something so negative as fear? Like how does that even mesh together to get you to perform?
Well, I think some personalities you're wired differently, to where it's this motivation that it's like, I'm going to die if I don't. And it's this fear of death if I don't actually perform. And then there's other guys where that fear of death actually weakens them and puts them in a position to where their mind gets in the way. They can't breathe right. And then everything goes backwards one piece at a time. And there really is guys, I mean, you know, like a John Jones who literally fear-based and, you know, trauma and all the different things possibly in his childhood, where he's the best and he keeps going back, but he goes forward, he goes back, he goes forward. And I think in any sport, you just have these certain personalities that are fueled by a soul that's extremely powerful, that can use that fire and that fear and put them in this place to where they can overachieve in what it is. And some people just know how to navigate that. And some people sometimes know how to internalize the thing so well at that point to where they can get past it. But then actually after the fact, all that internalization creates illness, creates injury and stuff like that, maybe latter parts of their life, not maybe in their career. And actually one thing I did want to mention real quick about his story that, and he was kind of vague about it, but you know, when I always talk about how everything's information and allow yourself to flow with everything. You never know where it's going to take you latter parts of your life. And when he had the opportunity, it was actually his 700th game. And not many people in the NHL have ever done that before. It's under 200, I believe.
700?
And it was 700 games. And he actually had the opportunity, the possibility of doing that with the Coyotes, which was a last place team.
Oh, yeah.
The last place team on the last game of the season, and they didn't allow him to actually do that.
You told me this story.
And he
I didn't want to run out of film.
and he got traded.
That story.
Well, the short version was he got traded to a first place team.
Yeah.
And the team that he got to play in his 700th game was the team that he actually got drafted by.
Wow.
And he got to play his last game against the team he got drafted by. And the guy he drove with was one of the guys from that organization. He got to have a great conversation with him on the way back.
Man.
So it's one of those things where, you can get into your own head about a situation and trick yourself into thinking some things seriously negative when it's actually really is just information. If you allow yourself to take the ego out of it, get curious, know that it is happening for you, not to you, and that everything's information. So allowing yourself to flow with that and find the flow, and then just go there.
Yeah.
And then wake up 2-3 years later and look back and say, oh, that was the map.
Yeah.
Well, I think, you brought that up, and I think that's the misconception is, you'll talk about these stories of anxiety as an athlete, and that's where guys get scared is they go, well, you played 13 years, you played 7 years, you couldn't have been that anxious.
Right.
But that's the question that's important for people to know is not everybody's wired the same. You were able to compartmentalize maybe a little bit or really harness that. But at the end of the day, in the long term, what you're saying, that's not beneficial for you in your life, post-career, during your career, for your family, your friends. That's not something that is going to benefit you in the long term. You can use it. You look at John Jones, perfect example. He talks about those things, but it's that's probably affected his personal life
for sure
more than it's benefited him in his life. So.
I think about someone like Mike Tyson when you get to hear Mike Tyson speak on his mindset going into a fight. Everything that he's telling himself is negative. He's not worth this. He's not worth that. He's never going to amount to nothing. But he channels it in a way that he's feared by the people he was feared by the people that he stepped in the ring with and he performed. But then you look at his personal life and we hear of all the hardships that he went through, outside of sport. It's hard to sustain that, healthy mind when you're not in the sport. So,
and depending on your sports system, because once again, Mike Tyson, his support system, his true support system died.
Yeah.
Once his true support system died, all of a sudden he was in the hands of money guys. He was in the hands of the promoters. And that's when that internalizing of all that anger and all that darkness, all of a sudden there was nobody to harness that anymore. There was nobody to actually steer that. It was a wild man. And that's why everything, went like that. And there's so many athletes that you'll see, they'll be in a place to where they're either talking smack or talking shit, but it's on a vibration that's more about belittling somebody how well they play or how well they show up or how well they are as a fighter, belittling that, making them scared before they get in the ring. Then you'll see them sometimes as they evolve into somebody who's got more money, who's got more fame, who's got more all the things. You'll see them start almost reaching for something, trying to talk shit, but you'll see them talking about religion or family or something very, what I call low vibration. And you'll see, if you look at their records, there's more losses when they're talking like that and trying to reach for something instead of when they were just still that Conor McGregor plumber or that Mike Tyson kid from the streets. They all of a sudden became rich and the personality didn't know how to actually handle that. And then all of a sudden you see these losses and all this negativity pile up because they actually never went in and healed it at a soul level. And, my biggest thing is always going to the root. You can mow the lawn and the weeds go away, but next week the weeds are back. If you go to the root of the cause and you pull it from there, that's when the actual healing goes later on in life. And I think that's what, a lot of the athletes, like we were just talking about, they'll internalize the stuff. Some of them can get by, but how you do one thing is how you do everything. So it's going to come back later on. It's going to affect you in your personal life one way or another sometime. It just may not be in that 13 years or that 7 years or that 6 years. It's going to happen sometime though, because it always comes back. It's a vibration.
Yeah. And do you want yourself to come out of your sport playing your professional career better off than you went in mentally.
Yeah.
Is the important thing. Because you probably go ask Mike Tyson, like, would you want to go back and do that all over again if it led you to all those things? Maybe he'd say yes, but he'd probably want to be in a better mental state, and he'd probably go at it a different way. And that's the same thing with, you know, if I would go back in my career, I would take it away different. You know, the knowledge is the important thing, and being able to. That's why this mission about being able to bring this to kids and parents earlier, being like, listen, like, kid might play, kid might play 12, 15 years, like you might make it, but are they going to finish better off than they started mentally? And that should be the most important thing, because how much time you have after it. I mean, it's so much time. I'm like, I've blinked. It's been 2 years I'm out of the league. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I'm 38. I still got another 60 years left. And I'm like, geez, I'm like, I got to make sure that this is a daily practice to keep myself in a good place, because you think it's forever because you're just in it. You know, you're in this bubble.
Yeah. And
time
I think
stops.
100%. I think Rick knows this. I was scared to let go of, I was having those thoughts of like, all right, I think I'm getting close to being done, but I was scared to let go of being an athlete or being a football player, because I didn't know that there was going to be anything on the other side. Yeah. Like, that to me was the scariest thing. And I was like, you know, physically, I could still go do it. Mentally, I wasn't in it. But I was almost willing to put myself through that physically just to prolong that experience of like what's next after the sport, because I hadn't prepared myself. I mean, I just wasn't prepared to go into that lane, you know? So, and I think a lot of, you know, I'm curious how the NHL is, but I think a lot of football players, just in, you know, my experience, deal with after the game, it typically goes that way. Yeah. Instead of the other way.
I mean, there's more systems in place now, I think, that there used to be. Yeah. But I mean, it's tough because, like, you know, you're not making the money you made. You're not living the life. And, you know, a lot of guys get hung up on continuing to live the same way they live. Yeah, you can't do that. Being like, I have to live this way. It's like, you played 10 years, you made very good money. Unless you were making hundreds of millions, you got to find something to do, because that will go fast the way you spent it when you played. 100%. And the way you lived and the way you traveled. And I'm like, there needs to be a regression, and there also just needs to be thought while you're in it. Like, that's the thing of like, we used to kind of sit around and, you know, you'd see the guys that are like taking courses on the side, college course, because what's this guy doing? Yeah. It's like, there's life after. And like, it's like, this guy's thinking ahead of the curve. He's thinking, listen, you know, when you really boil it down, it's like, you're told like, hey, like, football is your life when you're in it. It's everything you do. But you don't realize how much downtime you have. And that downtime, you're playing video games, you're going out, you're wilding out. It's like, you have all this extra time to
work on something else,
to get ahead in a million other things, and still have, you know, 100% focus on football or on hockey when you're there. And that's just the thing that we miss. And you get kind of drawn into it a little bit, because that's just the culture of it. And I think it's changing. I do feel like it is
for sure. You know, I think when I was in the league, it was like, if you were focusing on something else, they would say you weren't focused on ball. Yeah. And now you're starting to see guys, and this is just the landscape of athletics changing. Like, guys are, you know, getting into broadcast media. They have investment portfolio, like all of these things. Oh, yeah. So it's completely changed. I just feel like my era was that last era that it was like, if you're not all in on this, then you're not all in, you know? I got a question for you. Just tell me straight off the bat, like, what was your best game that you played in? Oof. Because I have a question around it.
Okay, yeah. Like, best game. That's what's crazy, because, you know, and that goes to like the continuing to work on myself. Like, I had gotten to a point where it's like, could I tell you my best game?
You only tell you the worst game.
I could probably tell you every.
I could too.
I could tell you. I could tell you.
I could too.
I could tell you every bad turnover I ever made.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
Like off a dime. You know, the game I always go back to, and if I were to think quickly, is, you know, what's funny is I used to joke to guys, and you know, guys would always make a weird joke and kind of laugh at me, and that was like me kind of shielding myself from my anxiety is like the games I would come back from injury would be like my best game.
100%
I would have scoring chances. A lot of times I'd score, I'd have an assist. I'd murder a couple guys.
Yeah.
And every time I can remember a lot of them, people would come in the room and be like, holy shit, like what's going on? And I was at that moment, I had been away from the game rehabbing. So all the anxiety and stress was gone because it's like, oh, I got nothing to lose and I have nothing to prove because I was from injury. They're like, oh, you'll be fine. Like give it a couple games. I'm like, no, I'm ready to go. So it was always those games or the games I got healthy scratched and would come back because, part of it would be anger and I'd be playing mad. And I did that a lot of my career was playing angry because that was how I kind of got out of the anxiety. But again, that's not, you can only play angry so long before something goes, or it only lasts a certain amount of time before you wear out. But yeah, it'd always be like coming back from injury and it was just always these weird ones. But I also equated it to like, there's buildings, and I don't know if you feel like that. There's just buildings I loved playing in.
Yeah.
And, I'd get it in my head that I had a good game against them early, so I'd always have a good game against them.
Yeah.
And that's the manifesting side. Like, the New Jersey Devils, I was like, I was so convinced in my head that I always played a good game against them, I always had points. Conversely, the New York Islanders, I had one bad game early on, and I was like, I hate playing. I'd say I hate playing them.
Yeah,
I don't like playing this team. And I always have a bad game. Something will go wrong.
Yeah,
and it's just those weird manifestings of what you tell yourself in your brain as an athlete, and like visualizing is like you're like, oh yeah, this is great. This is like, and it's just so funny when you look back. You're like, as soon as that seed of doubt creeps in, it's hard to get it out, man. And that's 100%. Where breathing and writing those fears down to kind of get them out of your head, I think, are so beneficial. But yeah, it was my best games is always.
That's interesting. I was gonna say the same thing. Like I was just with a couple friends in Chicago going to a game, and my boy asked me, "What was your best game you played in?" And I just couldn't think of it. But automatically I went to like the worst game that I played in was against Jacksonville. And it's like, I'm 3 years removed from playing, and I still have to work on like, you did have good games, but for some reason that negative experience is louder in terms of like not giving myself credit for the good game,
And that's usually correlated to your childhood.
Yeah.
It's correlated to something that happened to you when you were little where you weren't good enough. And that usually what happens is that actual wound has never actually been healed, deep healing, inner child work, whatever it is, to the point where that's the trigger. And that's what's still connected is that trigger between those two things, where once again, you can't remember when you were a child all the great things you did, which is why another reason why you probably can't remember the greatest things that you did when you were in the league. And it's crazy how correlated those two are. And when it comes to manifesting, our minds are way more powerful than we think. Yeah. And it puts off an energy. It's a vibration. And when your energy is low and there's any doubt in your heart that you're not going to play good at the Rangers Stadium, it's going to take over. And all of a sudden, that energy is the laws of attraction. It brings on those type of things to you. Once again, like you said, playing great at the Jersey Devils, he knows he's going to play great. That's a vibration. That's an energy that's being put out there. And I love that you said it because it's a perfect example of the laws of attraction. And people really don't understand how powerful that is because we're just intricate magnets. We're magnetically attracted to what we're putting out there, visually, mentally, and in our heart and soul. And once you have a doubt and you start thinking that, I'm telling you, it finds you. It just finds you. And then you could do a Mythbusters segment on it. And I guarantee you 100 out of 100 times, if you're thinking negative about something, it's going to bring negativity into your field. If you think positive, it's going to bring positivity in your field. I'm telling you 100% of the time.
Go ahead, speak on it. You got something for me, huh?
No, I'm just laughing because like I always love asking athletes, like, so like I can't remember exact games, but I can remember the feeling. Like I know the feeling of when I was in it. And then conversely, like I can remember and it makes me like sweety palms. Like when the game's starting and like you're not feeling
you're not there.
You feel like you feel like you weigh 1,000 pounds.
Yeah.
You feel like I was so exhausted, couldn't catch my breath after any shift. Everything felt slow. Felt like everybody was going 2,000 miles an hour, and I was in a quicksand.
Yeah.
And then when you're feeling good, I mean, you're light as a feather. You're kind of laughing. You're having fun. And we talk about the flow state of like, and that's what you hear guys talk about all the time. And, you know, it's so funny because like you hear Mamba mentality and you hear this guy's clutch and Brady. I'm like, those guys, to Rick's point, those really top guys. And when you ask them to explain it, they can't even explain it.
Yeah.
They're like, no, I just get there and I put in the work. And it's like, no, it's built into you. Whereas other people that have to actively work at it. And like I had to actively work at it.
Same.
To the point where it was like I had to be 3 hours before the game
it's
to get
kind
ready.
of exhausting.
Oh, it's exhausting.
It's exhausting, yeah.
And learning not having the tools and like and really creating that mindset, you know, it's a fatiguing thing. Like I'd tell guys, I'd go on the ice for the game and the puck would drop and I would be so tired.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell's going on? I had 3 Red Bulls. I had 2 coffees. I had a Sudafed.
Mentally, your mind's been running long before that game even started.
Yeah. And I was like, I slept 10 hours the night before. And I said, as soon as the game would be over, bing, wide awake.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the? And you just sit there and you're like, you're working yourself up mentally into a fatigue to the point where like, as soon as the game's over, you're so relieved. And it's like, now you can't sleep till 5 a.m.
Yeah.
I think that's also a good place of why visualization is so good, because when you actually take the time day in and day out, use truly your creativity, your imagination to actually be able to visualize every single night, programming your subconscious before you go to bed.
Yeah.
And be able to visualize what it looks like, everything. And
what it feels like.
What it feels like, what it smells like, to put on your shoes, to put on your cleats, to put on your skates, to walk out, to feel the ice, to feel the field, to feel the crowd. All those things to where you've relived it so many times. That also takes out the anxiety because your body is subconsciously has programmed itself to already live that moment. Yeah. So when you're in that moment, your body has already done it. It's already done it 100 times. And I do know that a lot of the top athletes, and obviously, you know, trickling down throughout, but most of the top, every single one of them does some type of breath work usually, and definitely does visualization every night. Yeah. And that's a big part. It's a big tool. Yeah. Because 90% of our lives is lived in our subconscious. So, I mean, if you're programming your subconscious before the most powerful time of your day, which is the evening when you're sleeping, all you do is your body knows what to do before it's already there. But when you're doing all the things, or you're going out with the buddies, you're fucking around and doing the things, you're not programming anything. And what it does is you wake up and it's like, okay, wait a second. Let me wake the fuck up. Let me get a Red Bull. Let me get this. Let me get my things going. Then by the time, like you said, you're in it, all of a sudden all this stuff happens. You can't take it back. And then into the game, and then you're wide awake and you're like, shit, you're looking back at all the things that you supposedly
missed out on. Yeah.
Which once again, all it is once again, dude, learning experiences. Yeah. And you could take that as a negative constant, which so many people do, because that again is that I'm not worthy, I'm not good, all the things from my childhood. Or you can rewire yourself to constantly, what did I do well today? What can I improve on? And turn the page and be neutral at all times. And that's, I mean, the best guys, that's their thing. And in any sport, especially when you have sports that are, something like tennis or something like that, because every single point,
it matters.
You have to rewire every single point. And, Federer always talks about he lost 50% almost 50% of the points
in failures
in games. Baseball players have to fail 70 to 80% of the time to even be on the field. Yeah. And it's literally, you can't have a memory. It's just, what did I do well? What can I improve on? Understand that, turn the page, grow, take the information, and constantly just be a student of your own life. To me, that's the most important thing.
I will say I think the best games that I had, I didn't dwell on the negative things that happened within the game. Yeah. It was just like we talk about the flow state. It was just something that happened in the game, and I continued to just press on. And that's it. Those were typically the time that I performed the best. So not being able to, focus on what happened that was negative, it's like, that's going to happen, keep it pushing. But there was times that I was not able to get myself out of that mode. and then you get the snowball effect, you know?
Oh, well, you said it, you mentioned visualization, and, you know, I would do that. I did that a lot throughout my career.
Yeah. Did you have a hard time though early on?
Well, like, you want to hear my worst?
Yeah, because I would visualize, but I would see the negative thing happen instead of the positive.
Bro, I would visualize like, okay, because I was a defenseman, so I'd be like, I'd visualize a breakout pass, and then like a good shot on net. But as I was doing the visualization, and I could see it clear as day, I'd visualize myself come around the net, and I'd be like, okay, clean breakout pass, and then somebody would pick it off and go score. And I'd be like, no.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there like this, and I'm like, no. And people are like, what are you doing shaking your head? And I'm like, I'm trying to get it out. Trying to shake out that turnover.
Not getting out.
And I'm like, God, I can't even make a good pass in my visualization.
Yeah, that's hard. What would you... I mean, what do you say to that?
Practice makes perfect. Seriously. And and once again, I would always I always want to go to the root. So I would tell everybody, like, start out with your childhood from 0 to 7, 0 to 10. Figure out the things that you didn't accomplish. Figure out the feelings that you had when you didn't accomplish them. Go back, close your eyes, use your imagination, and kind of sit with yourself and allow yourself to like, hey, I'm an NHL player now. Like, you made it. Like, I know you messed up today, but like, you made it, because it really is those old school things. Those triggers are the ones that are doing it. Yeah. So when you're in that visualization, taking the time, maybe when you get into that, you know, loop of negativity, stop. Maybe do a little breath work for 5-10 minutes to pull yourself into only your breathing, into meditation, to release everything from your mind, and then go back to it and really starting with something positive, like maybe even passing up putting on your skates. Literally go straight to what it felt like that time you scored, and what it felt like when you got the chills all over your body, when you made a big block at the line or whatever, or you made a breakthrough run or whatever it was. Maybe starting at the point where you felt really good, to actually recreate that feeling inside of you. Yeah. So that you start to rewire it in that sense. And then going back and literally just slowly retraining yourself, retraining once again your subconscious to understand what it's like to win. Because if there's a piece of our childhood where we kept losing, no matter how naturally talented we are, how big we were, or how easily we could, how we could get into the league that we went into, there still is that little piece where that's always going to hold back just that little extra part to where you're going to remember those negatives. So it's really kind of slowly rebuilding the way that you understand yourself, and then the way that you show up when you start to visualize and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's big. You talked about breath work a little bit. That's been something that's helped me out. Rick, I want to say you actually introduced me to...
I remember that first day. Yeah.
I think you did actually introduce me to it, and then I kind of have dabbled in different techniques and things like that. What has breath work done for you, though? Like, what... I know when I played... I got actually, you introduced post-football back into my life. I worked with a sports psychologist my 5th year in the league, and I had a hard time relaxing prior to kickoff. And so the goal through the breath work and the visualization was to slow everything down to the point that, okay, when you get out there on the field for the first snap, you're actually at your calmest state, because the game is going to happen like that. Yeah. What was your experience like in terms of introducing breath work to your routine, and what did that look like for you?
I mean, man, I did it basically post-career. I always tried breathing, but I kind of, when I met Rick and I started to dive into it, I looked up Breath by James Nestor, just a great book, and really like exploded my mind into it, of like not even doing these practice breath works, but just like on a second by second basis, breathing the right way, and how much it reduces nasal breathing, and slowing your breathing down no matter where you are, and just subconsciously getting into that routine to the point where I've been, and it's work every day, but I've been just training myself to breathe if I'm not speaking nasally, think about conscious breaths, and, sleep better, digest better, exercise better. I even do it a lot when I'm exercising now, where if I'm doing uphill walking, I only nasal breathe. If I'm doing weightlifting, I try to only nasal breathe, and really try to make a conscious effort of that. And it's benefited me like immensely. Like it's just something that kind of all ties into what we're trying to bring to youth sports is that's just, kids aren't used to and don't understand it, but it's a very easy mechanism to learn once you learn it. And it's something that if you kind of ingrain it early, because you talk to Rick and Rick's very into inner child work and going back to a child, like you learn a lot of your habits as a kid. So why wouldn't you implement good habits as a kid? And as a parent, why wouldn't you want your kids just breathing? Just teach your kid to breathe. Like, yeah, of course when they leave the house, but teach conscious breathing. I got big into sleeping with the mouth tape. So
do you like it?
I love it. It changed my sleep.
Really?
I haven't been able to do it yet.
I'm nervous.
I haven't been able to do it yet.
So I do. So there's a company Dream strips. They're like a big one.
Yeah.
Because it's like all whatever non-toxic, but they have just the strip. So it's literally just a strip. So your mouth is still open.
Okay.
But it's enough where you train your brain to kind of, even if you're still breathing through your mouth isn't open, gaping wide, and you use your nose. And my wife now is like full tape over the mouth like a hostage.
Like
literally.
I was going to say my wife would like it if I did that.
yeah, for sure. 100%.
Honey, you're real quiet tonight. No,
seriously.
But it's like sleeping wise, like, there's studies on dehydration and when you're breathing through your mouth, you dehydrate way quicker.
Yeah.
And, recovery from working out, you less restlessness. And, I don't need as much sleep hours to feel rested. And, it's just something that book really changed me. And obviously a lot of the stuff I've practiced with Rick, I think those big 45-minute ones are really good and very intense.
Yeah, they are.
And, but I think there's a lot of stuff of like learning like a 3 to 4 breath cadence that becomes your like kind of rock to when you feel that anxiety coming up, you can just go to that and it takes 2 minutes. And Rick's got a ton of them and it's like immediately your nervous system just comes down and you get out of that fight or flight. Cause I think that's where a lot of injury happened. That's where a lot of fatigue happened was, I'm a duck on a pond. You can't, it's not sustainable. So I think even in day-to-day life and in terms of, manifesting things, but also just the way you show up, like not being nervous, calm, thinking rationally, you can make good decisions. And it's just something I try to do on a second by second basis.
I think, go ahead, Rick.
I was just going to say, you'd be surprised at how many people that I've worked with that have never thought about one of their 17 to 30,000 breaths per day.
Yeah.
And all the different people that I take through, they're like, man, I just realized I don't breathe.
Yeah.
Or I hold my breath all day long.
Yeah.
I don't even think about how I breathe. And it's constant.
I was just going to say the biggest thing that breath work kind of introduced to me is being present. Like the conscious breathing equals being present, because now I'm actually thinking about what I'm doing in this moment. So in terms of what you guys are doing with the youth athletes, it all correlates, right? Because if these kids are able to learn how to calm themselves down or even ramp themselves up with breath based on what they need, when they get in that moment in the game, they can now regulate themselves instead of waiting till they're in the professionals to seek someone out to help them. So like, I think if I had that at 12, 13, 14 years old, and just being able to get back to present is so beneficial in terms of sports, but also outside of sports as well.
Oh yeah, your toolbox. You actually have a toolbox.
Yeah.
When we were kids growing up, you didn't have a toolbox.
Yeah.
You didn't even have the box to put the tools in, let alone the tools to put in it.
Go touch grass.
And it truly.
Go touch some grass.
Yeah.
But yeah, seriously, and I mean, bringing kids at a young age where they actually, like you said, they're actually present to where they actually think about how they feel in that moment. We never knew that. We just reacted. I was the king of reaction. Now, latter parts of my life, I understand why that happened so that I could understand later in life how to coach people on that.
Yeah.
But also, it would be better to be able to teach people at that young age so they actually don't have to navigate that, so they can actually live their best lives as they go through. And as I love to say, find themselves on the map of their life, slow everything down, be able to be present, understand what they're feeling, actually reflect on that, grow from it, and then move on, so that as young kids, they're actually already becoming masters of adversity and all the things which Jason, loves to say, and it's so powerful because
masters of adversity.
Yeah,
talk about that a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just kind of been the theme of the show today is just how you do one thing is how you do everything, and I know these are all cliches and things we can use, but you talk about visualization, repeating a mantra to yourself, and if I was wanting to become a parent, and me and my wife are in the process of trying to rectify that.
Yeah.
So, but just seeing parents and youth parents, and it's like you want your kids to, above all else, be able to handle any adversity, any obstacles that come their way in a calm manner, and be able to get over those things quickly, because that is where every person, every human being is going to be faced with adversity at one time in their life, but it's how you overcome it. It's how you reshape it. It's how you grow from it. That's the most important thing, because that is what separates the good from the bad. Again, you could be the strongest athlete.
Yeah.
You can be the fastest athlete, but if adversity hits you and you crumble, well, you're not going to make it, and you're obviously making it as a 1% of 1%, but now you're limiting that even more, because you look at the guys that do make it and they're able to overcome adversity. A lot of them aren't. I wasn't the fastest. I wasn't the strongest. I never was the most in shape, but just mentally, even though I had all these anxieties, I was able to, like I said, when I get injured, I'd be able to overcome the adversity.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get set. And I'd almost find more peace in the complete, utter chaos.
Yeah.
And that was my issue, was that after a while, that just doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
You end up running out of steam. But being able to handle it from a place of neutrality, and also just learning that you're going to face these things as a kid, but having the tools to get out of it, reset, take a breath, just realize it's a game. We're playing a kid's game. You're kids. So it's like, have fun, do what you can. And learn that, like, these little tools that you're picking up along the way, to Rick's point, are going to help you master adversity, and learn that it's just, these are just things happening for you. It's just information. You're taking it in as a kid. And, that I'd put a kid like that learns those things early up against any adult that has never had that training, because you're just so more well equipped, and you don't have all the baggage of being 30, 40 years old. You're 12, 13, 14, 15. Still fresh. You're still learning, and still learn those good habits. And, for parents, like, push your kids to learn those habits, when you're telling them to go work hard and go have fun, it's like, have a purpose to that. Like, why? Why? Like, explain to them, have a conversation that this is to set you up for life. It's not to make you a professional athlete.
Right.
It's that after the professional athlete's over, whether you make it or not.
Yeah.
And you need to have that belief that you're going to make it, but know that after, shit, you're going to be miles ahead of other kids, adults.
Oh, 100%.
And better set up for life. And that's, if I'm a CEO of a company, or if I'm a GM of a team, that's what I'm looking for in kids right now. And I think there's a huge gap. There's a huge gap being missed right now with the NILs and with the agencies. They're just not looking at that enough. You look at the upbringing, but they're not really doing a deep dive. And, at draft day, they'll have some questions, some riddle questions, but like really getting deep and asking kids and making sure that kids are checking in on themselves and parents are checking in. We're all checking in on kids, making sure that their experience and they're learning these tools to benefit them throughout life, whether they make it or not.
I'm curious, what traits would you say have shown up for you post-career that were instilled in you within sport? Like, for me, like, what makes you successful now that you can say, oh, I gathered this from my playing days, or this was still prevalent in my athlete days?
Well, I mean, work ethic's the one, you develop a sense of work ethic and working with a team. Working with the team and working with others is always something, you're for me and Rick, having us work together, like, I'm loyal to our team. Like, I'm like, whatever you ask of me is something, or whatever I ask of you is something that I'd be willing to do myself. And as you know, playing on a team, that's something that you got to be able to look to the left and the right and be like, I can trust these guys. And conversely, you got to make sure that you have your ducks in a row, and at least on paper, that everybody can trust what you're doing and what you're going to go out and do, and you're going to do your job. So that and work ethic for me, and honestly, just to, for me, like I loved hockey so much and I love games, and I'm still a kid at heart. And for me, that's what I always took from hockey is just being a kid and going at life as a kid, and stay young, be curious, play games. It's like always trying to find a game in something. And that was the best part for me of playing was, you're with all these other guys that are, 20s to late 30s, and we're all, 2-year-olds when you get around each other. You make jokes, and everything is very fun and light. And that's something I think I try to take into my life afterwards. Sometimes it's weird when my wife's like, "The hell are you doing right now?"
For sure.
Why are you acting like a 2-year-old? But it's served me well. And it's something I took with me. Post my playing career for sure.
Yeah, I asked that because we were talking about there's a 1% of people that make it professionally, and I truly think that the traits that these kids that you guys are going to be working with, the traits that they learn through what you're coaching them, like you said, are going to set them up, whether you're successful and make it to the pros or not, they're going to set you up to be ahead of a lot of people in life. So you're going to learn something regardless of whether you think, oh, I'm going professional or I'm going D1. Like you said, CEOs, COOs, they're looking for people that hold the traits of professional athletes because they know, okay, they can work with the team. They have good problem solving skills, like they're accountable, they're disciplined, all of those things you can learn through sport. And I think it's just so, apparent to push that on the kids as well.
Yeah, routine as well.
Routine
is we throw that word around a lot when we played pro sports, and you hear that, and I haven't really understood it till I stopped of like having to keep that routine, and like that's important. Like everybody should have a routine that they can fall back on that allows them some level of peace and comfort and sets them up for their day. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It could be easy as you get up in the morning, you jot down a few notes, say what you want to get out of the day, take 3 deep breaths and get the hell out of there. It doesn't need to be this.
Yeah, man.
It doesn't need to be this. I know we kind of all say like the 46-minute Rick Moschel breath work. It's not for the faint. It's not for the faint of heart. That's work.
I don't even do it that long in the morning.
I know.
My meditation is about that long with gratitude and manifesting.
I don't know how you do it
and all that. I just wake up real early.
I was gonna say
wakes up at 2 a.m.
He's a sicko. Yeah. I was gonna say the routine piece. When I got done playing, I was like, I'm not about to stick to my routine. Like I did it long enough while I was playing. Like I'm just gonna wake up when I want.
Oh God.
I'm gonna work out when I want. And quickly I realized you are not built that way. Like if you don't have a routine, your day and your mindset, everything is just off.
Yeah.
And you're not even preparing yourself to handle it if it goes off. Like you're just going through the motions.
Yeah.
And that to me is the worst feeling. That's why I get up early still and I go work out and I cold tub, all those things. Like if I don't do those, like I've given myself some grace now. I've worked on it. Like if I miss a cold tub, I'm not beating myself up. But it's so natural to me now that like when I do get those things done, I'm ready for my day and I feel good about my day. So the routine is,
it's easily proven.
Yeah.
It's easily proven. It's kind of funny because even when you said that, I love to watch everything when people talk. And even when you said that, that was your inner child. You're like, I'm not going to work out today. I'm going to wake up when I want. And it was even the way you said it. You almost had like a little kid swag.
I thought I earned it.
Swagger.
Yeah. For sure.
I'm going to wake up.
But it's funny because then it always goes back to how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah.
If you start the day in limbo without any plan whatsoever, any positive vibration of any sort, it's going to topple down, and that negative energy, that negative vibration is going to find you. So if you have, even like you said, like a 2-minute routine, a 45, 50-minute routine, whatever you have, taking the time to be grateful for something, think about an intention of how you want to live your day, having a home base, so that if your day veers off, you can look back and be like, well, what was my intention this morning? Oh, wait a second. You know, it was kind of to flow with things. Don't get angry today, and, you know, just have a good day. Okay, you know what? Let me go back to that. All it is just like a home base to start from, to create a vibration that takes you throughout the day.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
You changed that for me. I mean, I can't remember how many conversations we had around, hey, I'm doing this in the morning. I'm doing Wim Hof. I'm doing sauna. I'm doing cold. Like, you changed that for me as far as like me being able to put those things in order. And I mean, it's not 50 minutes, but I get it. Yeah. You know, it works for me, and that's what works.
And that's the thing, is not having attachment to it. So once again, like you said, like sometimes I don't do the cold plunge. That's the thing too. You can't beat yourself up about it if you don't do everything. It's about imperfectly perfect. It's not about perfect. Anybody who's perfect is boring as hell. Be imperfectly perfect and kind of flow the way what you feel. But also the days that are the hardest, those are usually the days maybe dig in a little deeper and get at least 2 to 5 minutes of something at the beginning, and then kind of flow through. And the days you just wake up where you're just feeling good and you're just like, I'm going to flow today. I'm just going to hit it.
Yeah.
You're already in that vibration, and I guarantee you'll be close to keeping that vibration throughout the day. But it's not beating yourself up about perfection. And that actually comes up with us a lot in breath work with me and Carrie facilitating. Is some people, when they first started, and especially when we work with professional athletes that started doing it, and they realize that they're not good at it. Well, it's been a long time since they have been good at something. So they get frustrated throughout the breathwork practice. And it's not about frustration. It's about being open to what is it? What am I feeling right now? Okay, wait a second. I'm feeling frustrated. Okay, well, let me slowly release that. Let me just slowly get back into the breath. Let me see where I could take this, and let me see if I could just finish it out. But it's not having attachment to being perfect. It's just about the fact that you're doing it. A morning routine, it's just the fact that you're taking 2 to 5 minutes to even think about a morning routine. That in itself is something positive. Even if you haven't dug too deep into what it was you were going to do in the manifesting and gratitude and all the things, even if you said like, I'm going to do my morning routine, and you just thought about that this morning, and then you veered off into something else. Something positive started that day, which is something that is a home base to that you can reflect on later on in the day if you need to.
Yeah, that progress, not perfection piece, that was big for me. You know, I was big perfectionist. I thought it all had to hit and had to be in alignment. And then when I started looking at it, okay, like you're being a little too hard on yourself if you didn't accomplish the breath work the way you thought you were. Like, it's progress. And that's what it's about.
I feel like that first day, actually, it made a move. You weren't able to drop in the whole time.
Yeah, I wasn't.
I remember you actually mentioning that.
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, there was a time where I was probably about 10 minutes where I was just like, all right, I can't, but
you couldn't get into it.
Couldn't get into it.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. That in itself is information. And it really goes back to even, what we're trying to create is a filtration system.
Yeah.
Trying to create at a young age, understanding that life is a game. When you play that game, you filter information, and really everything is information. If you want to say it's good or bad, that's up to you. But in the end, it really is just information, and it is all growth. It is all lessons and teachers. So it's rewiring the brain, rewiring who you are
to look at it
as just information. It's not about being perfect right away. Even if it takes you 5 years of practicing to get there, you're starting out at 12, 13. I started out at 44.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're starting out at a young age to where if you're at a point where you really are a filtration system, you know that everything's information at the age of 19, 20, you're 15, 20 years ahead of most people on planet Earth.
Yeah.
And we want to create more and more of that so that that's actually the ladder of the bunch instead of something that's not really seen that much.
Yeah. No, I love that. What would you say to somebody who is of age, like in our age group, that is having that hard time though? Like, they feel like it's too late to start. What would you say to them?
I'd say release the ego. It's the ego that's talking to you. That's saying that I'm too old, man. It's too old to start. I've actually had people do that to me that are in their 50s, 60s, even late 60s. And frankly, it's all bullshit. It is your inner child. It's lack that's actually fueling that, taking that story out. And I said it in our first podcast, but it's one day or day one. Don't say one day I might be able to start this and actually create something with it. Have day one be today, and be present. There's a magical book I literally just finished called The Power of Now. And the power of now it's not about yesterday. It's not about what I didn't do yesterday or the past years. It's about now. What can I do now to better myself now in this moment, live in this moment, live my best moment right now, and get momentum with a bunch of those moments so that 5 years from now, you don't remember the 15, 20 years prior to that you didn't do it. And actually take the time to really release the ego and lock in to a different vibration and challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to actually get out of the comfortable of what you've been, which is uncomfortable because you've been navigating all the crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Let all that go, get into a different uncomfortable to where you get comfortable in that. And then all of a sudden, that's when you hit that flow state. So it really is. I love that I just took that book in because it really is the power of now. It's being present now at this moment with two guys having a conversation. It's about now. It's not about what you did in the past. The past is always there. As you grow in the now, you can reflect, understand the past, understand how it's orchestrating where your mind goes. But other than that, don't have any attachment to that. Understand it, release it, live in the now, gain momentum, and then take that momentum into the day-to-day practice.
That's fire right there. Jason, what are you most proud of? What are you most proud of from your career?
The people like I touched on it a little bit, but the people that I brought with me for the ride and having done it and came out with a better sense of myself than when I went in. I think initially if you'd asked me 10 years ago, I probably would have said, playing in the NHL was my dream, and I realized my dream. But, that was one game when I played my first game, and, having to do it a second time, because I always kind of joke when I was out for 2 years, kind of grinding to get back and making my way back into the NHL. I got to, do something that not many people get to do, and it's make the NHL twice.
Yeah.
Because I was out and completely out, and I was able to fight my way back in. So, for me, just learning, I mean, we've talked about it a lot, but just learning about myself and taking all these lessons and understanding the biggest lesson is, you got your whole life in front of you and there's that it's a moment. I'm so super grateful for everything I had in the NHL, but to the power now, like looking back at what I didn't do and what I did, and that, I could get stuck on that all day. And it was an amazing experience. And I love thinking of the memories I have, and they're all fond. And even the ones that are negative are fond memories because I learned a lot about myself now. And I learned a lot about myself throughout the whole process. So it's such a grain of sand in your life. Like I said, it's like that quick. It's a snap of the fingers. It's done. But you learn so much and you take so much from that experience that ends up serving you for the rest of your life and serving the people around you. And, being able to play for my family and my wife now and playing with that name on the back of my jersey, which is my family. And I understand we're all playing for the crest on the front and representing the city. But, at the end of the day, the family you take with you is the one on the back of the jersey. And that is just the proudness and the pride that I have for having done that. And it being able to show out, I hope, in a positive way, and made those people proud and kind of made my family name proud. So for me, it's a lot of those things. And it's tough to, we're never taught as athletes to think, selfishly, but at the end of the day, your family, that's your day ones. That's the people, that's your support system. Like they're there long after every teammate's gone and long after every organization that pays you gone. And you're taught to really serve your team, and that's what you're there to do. But at the end of the day, you're making the people around you that support you proud, and that's your opportunity. So for me, it was being able to kind of do all that. And when I got out of it, just, having my family be proud of what I did and my wife, and being able to hold my head high that I kind of gave it my all and came out the other side with all fingers and all toes.
Man, I love that. Yeah. That's a great perspective to have. I it's changed for me, like what I'm most proud of right now. Like I would say, like you said, experience, right? I got to experience the NFL, but in terms of like what it took me to get there and what I learned about myself in it that I can apply to getting out of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm most proud of right now. Like I used to look at my career like, oh man, you had bad games here, you struggled on this year, or you didn't have a good year that year. All of those things, like you said, is information. And the way that I can flip that now is what I'm most proud of. Like, I told you this before, the NFL for me is like a stepping stone. Like, I think those 7 years were there to teach me something about later in life.
Yeah. And I mean, it's an amazing accomplishment.
Yeah.
Like the number of people that have played, and my brother, when I played my 700th game, and
700 games is crazy.
It's different with football because you equate one of your guys' games is like equivalent to like just the stakes of it.
Yeah.
And that's not counting playoff games, but for me with that, it's really of the 700 games and to your point, the 7 years, it's so much. And to your point, just learning every day is so important.
Yeah.
And learning and but also being so proud of what you did, like not forgetting the fact that you took those experiences, but be proud because when I played in that game, my brother kind of did some research, how many people in 100 years of the NHL being around had played just one game, and it's less than 10,000.
Wow.
So it's like when you think of that in the grand scheme of things, and I don't know what the football number is.
Yeah.
We could do it after for fun. You'd be like amazed that like they just played one game, one snap. Of the 8 billion people that are on Earth, there's 10,000 in the history that have played the NHL one game.
Yeah.
So it's like being proud of that accomplishment, that you are part of a 1% of 1%, and all the anxieties and all the ups and downs, but to your point, exactly, it's like being proud of that. Like you got there and you stayed there because it's what's the average lifespan?
3 years.
3 years for hockey too, man. That's you beat it, you doubled it and more than doubled it. So it's like there's something there that was good that got you there. That's for sure.
For sure. No, I love that, man. I appreciate you guys pulling up. This has been long overdue. Rick's been talking to me about you for it's been some time now, and so obviously everything happens in the right time. And I enjoyed this conversation, but I'm glad we got to sit down and talk. And obviously there'll be more conversations, but I really think this is going to be helpful to the platform and the people that hear it. So thank you guys for coming and kicking it with me. It was a great conversation.
Yeah, thank you for having us. And to your point, like doing this after you played and being impactful is huge accomplishment as well.
Yeah, thank you, man. Tell the people where you guys can be found at. Like, I know Rick, you got the,
everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
I mean, for me, MoschelCoaching.com,
there we go.
TheBeautyWayStudio.com with an I. And then Plant Revolution Apparel.
Yes, sir.
And as my Instagram handle.
Yes, sir.
And then futurely, he'll talk about possibly the app.
That's what I want to get to.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, it's been 2 years of trying and failing and trying again, and now FindFlow Athletics is where we're trying to bring a journaling breathwork platform to kids, youth sports specifically, ages 12 to 18, but we're also pairing it with athlete storytelling. So we're trying to get athletes and mental performance coaches to talk about overcoming adversity, anxieties, connecting with kids, and having it be in a digestible format for kids, like Instagram, TikTok videos, because that's what they're used to, these kids nowadays. But just having quick things of kids realizing that they're not alone, and seeing guys that played 7 years in the NFL and 13 years in the NHL. And there's so many guys that have so much insight, and it's a lot of the same message, but reinforcing that message. We talk about routine of like, go have fun, work hard. Listen, it's not as big as you think.
Yeah.
Don't think you're bigger than the game.
Yeah.
Like, just enjoy every second of it now with your friends, with your teammates, and really drilling that home. And then, hopefully giving some kids some go-to resets that they can do when they're stressed. And, we're hoping that this is a good conduit to help kids in youth sports, but also help parents that might not know where to turn, because, I touched on it a little bit at the start of this, but, there's parents are spending on strength coaches, nutritionists, skills coaches. They're doing travel ball, travel hockey, travel football, costing exorbitant amount of money. And there's nothing for the mental performance. There's nothing up top. There's nothing for this space that is the make or break. And if you make it truly, I'd be hard pressed to find anybody with a weak mental constitution that made, played a pro sports game, because you need something in there, and that can be taught and it can be learned, and it's work. But we're trying to make it in a fun way for kids. So we're really excited about it. Hoping to launch in December. And really just building out the team and building out the content. And I'm definitely we're gonna probably do a quick little interview too to get it. But that's there. And then for Instagram, Jason Demers on Instagram, and I'm on LinkedIn. I'm everywhere.
Hey, LinkedIn is where it's at, man.
Best platform.
LinkedIn is where it's at.
Oh, and I did want to really quick finish just with the word ripple.
XRP?
The ripple effect. The ripple effect, truly. I mean, I had no idea where my life was going to go. And I, became a life coach, breathwork facilitator, and much more. And that rippled me to meet somebody that introduced me to both of you. Both of you in your retirements have grown and done amazing things with so many different people. And that has rippled onto so many people. And I guess my biggest word to end it with is just, you never know who you're going to ripple onto. So when it comes to, enhancing the mind, enhancing the heart, enhancing the vibration, you really don't know. It could be one person, it could be thousands of people, but you never know who you're going to ripple onto. And the ripple effect is what we're looking for in this world, because our fun saying, me and my wife, is the healing of one is the healing of all. And the healing of all is our collective duty. And that's the ripple effect. So you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. I would have never thought, years ago when I was in my, in my insanity back in the day, of that I, know two amazing human beings as yourselves, and be able to ripple onto you, and you ripple onto me, and then ripple onto so many other people. And, everybody watches your platform, that ripples onto them, and everybody watches your platform, either, on LinkedIn or Instagram or the NHL network or anything else. It's rippling onto so many people. And, both of you bring a different vibration into what you do now. And a lot of people were lacking that. It was more professional, and it was more like cut and dry. And there's a vibration of the inner child and the fun, and you make it fun. And so I just wanted to, just throw out there just the ripple effect, man. You never know.
Appreciate that, Rick. That means a lot, man. Thank y'all, man.